Chimdak Chuki Pama, Verdon, Choma, Jampo, Jamo, Lipshe Padon, Jokshin Soarnam Gari, Mzafshi, Nieda, Snacker Ninsaranam Gari, Oyok, Stadon, Lambo Chedan, Shantadan, Pomba Chondan, Jumbarnam Gari. Dirkudur Mibadan, Lazamba Jamame Petrbe, Shanchib Senhua, Zikchin. Shanchib Senhua Ziktamchir Tumbala, Six Japan, the Kitchi, Meso. Shanchib Senhua Namdak, Manager Parushin, Panatablam Kebate, Jimba, Namna Tili Ki, Chulagawa Chomati, Shamdan Nyaji Wumoyin, Chudon Dimba, Deni Wupoyin. Dongbutun Sim Kimiano, Dongbutun Sim Kimiano. Devjin Yomo Tamchit na Jigger Wonshir Lubmago. Zapshi Shanchib Yanlakte, Dina Shanchim Churigir. Di Juk Stagdan Drogba Parul Shimba Jignam So. The Ate Vime Kim, a Loyan Churnam Stombapo.
And that's all for today. Well, today we'll continue on the lessons on the Vimalakirti Sutra. And the schedule for next week is the same. Monday and Tuesday, we have the Vimalakirti Sutra. On Wednesday, we will have Sigalovada Sutra. Tomorrow, we also have the class on Sigalovada Sutra. For those of you who listened and attended the class on the Vimalakirti Sutra but didn't attend the Sigalovada Sutra, I really think that if you have time, you should listen to Sigalovada Sutra as well. Because that's a sutra talks about how to conduct yourself in this world, and in such a way it is quite meaningful. When you're listening to class, I have to repeat myself again, try not to be late. I think people who are present are pretty good, but people who are listening to this class online, and I think you're not quite on time. Maybe it's because the traffic, maybe because some of the livelihood that stops you. But maybe it's just because you don't attach great importance to this class. Over here in Larungar, sometimes when we have classes, when we have meetings with Khenpos and Khemos, as much as I try to make the importance of being on time, I have to, it didn't work. And then I have to fine them if they got late. If they're late for 1 minute, it's 1 yuan of 1 RMB of fine and 5 yuan for 5 minutes of lateness. And then if they don't attend the meeting at all, it's 50 to 100 yuan. So after that, people don't usually get late anymore, even if it's just 1 yuan. It shows that people still care about it. Maybe on one hand, it's because people do care about their financial loss, although it's not much. But it could also show that they may get a little bit embarrassed if they were to get fined. As I said, usually if we have a meeting, if the meeting starts at 7, you should be there at least 4 or 5 minutes prior to the meeting to show that you're respecting the schedule and respecting the meeting, isn't it? I think some Western countries do attach great importance to the time. But it is the best that you do attend the class on time. I see that people are very interested in the class, but they're not so prompt in terms of their timing. So that's the second thing I would like to make note before class. Today, we're going to continue from the chapter 8. Last 2 classes, we've already talked about what is the path of Buddhahood and what is the path of the seed of liberation or seed of Buddha, and what is not. So it talks about the wrong path is the path of Buddhahood, and the wrong seed is the seed of Buddhahood. And over here today, we're going to talk about the family and the retinues, the children of Vimalakirti, as well as the provisions of Vimalakirti. So the Bodhisattva then asked Vimalakirti, who are your family member and your friends, and what do you have as your provisions? So that's the question. This is quite an important question, in fact. Of course, on the surface, it may appear to be It may not appear to be a very important question, but at the beginning, Vimalakirti did answer from the aspect about his family, about his retinue, his followers, and his provisions, and so on. And then in the previous chapter, we also learned that Vimalakirti, through his miraculous acts, made all of his provisions and the people around him disappear. So over here, we're waiting for Vimalakirti to give a really good answer. Why? According to Master Jizang, he said in his commentary, it in fact includes 2 aspects. And one is that Vimalakirti, based on his miraculous manifestation, he talked about his retinues and belongings and provisions from the emptiness aspect. And over here, his answer, in fact, talks about the manifested merits of himself. That's the angle of his answer over here. That's the first aspect. And the second aspect talks about Vimalakirti, in fact, his inner merits and his inner provisions are so abundant that surpass the mundane world provisions. So later on, we'll talk about what his mother means, the father means, and provision means, and so on. Although Vimalakirti manifests or appears as a lay practitioner, but once he's fully realized, then his provision and retinues are also fully, they are all fully there. So that's the three aspects to look at this part of his answers. In the previous part, we already heard of the conversation between Vimalakirti and Manjushri, as well as Mahakashyapa,
我们这个声闻乘呢，就是很多的这个修行境界呢，就是不如你们这个大乘。
where he said that lots of the practice levels and realizations are not as good as the bodhisattvas. So later on, we should all study from you Mahayana practitioners. That's where we stopped last time. And then let's continue for today's portion. Over here, at that time, there was a bodhisattva in the assembly named Sarvarupa Samdarsana, which means the universally manifest, the form body. He then asked Vimalakirti, saying that, wow, you are really great. Let it be your conversation with Manjushri, as well as your conversation with the Shravakas, and your conversation with all the bodhisattvas. From all the aspects, I see that you are really realized. It's so incredible. So at that time, this bodhisattva then asked Vimalakirti, saying that, well, so lay practitioner, who are your parents, wife and sons, relatives, subordinates? Over here, it subordinates in the Chinese. It also means officials, but it's rather officials who work for him. And your teachers, your spiritual friends, your friends, your servants. Who are those people? For normal or mundane people, I think people don't have so much curiosity about their parents, their servants, their spiritual teachers, and so on. But if a person who's really well-known, very unique, and really stands out from the crowd of the others, very successful, and then others will, of course, pay a lot of attention to not only this person, but also the relatives and the family and the lineage and so on. So it is like that in ancient times as well as in modern times as well. According to Master Chi, he said that in India at that time, it is a tradition to ask about this person's family and ask about this person's relatives and so on. So that's more of a tradition. And for Shravakas, the Shravakas don't have the family members, and they are more into the state of quietude. So according to the Indian tradition back then, and maybe it is still continued to today, just like in Tibet, on the Tibetan plateau, people would inquire about certain masters' parents, the grandparents. If you were to write about a biography about that master, they would also inquire about of course, the mother's family and so on as well. So to great scholars, great masters, people usually pay a lot of attention to their backgrounds. And it is usually explained at the beginning of their biography to explain which family they come from and so on. And usually it is something very positive, just as if there were some person who are not virtuous, they won't really write about it. Just as Langdama, who who committed lots of evil deeds in terms of the destruction of Buddhism. And then in lots of other people's biography, they wouldn't even mention him if he was in the family. So it is also the same as the West and the East, just as how people pays a lot of attention to the celebrity's family, the celebrity's newborn baby, and so on. The paparazzis would stay around the mansion of a celebrity and trying to get a photo of their newborn baby, of the celebrity's newborn baby, even if the photograph only shows a tiny face of a little baby. They would still be really happy of capturing such a photo and then publish it on the newspaper and so on. So the celebrities' family and some well-known people's family are attached with great importance. And I think it is the same as why this Bodhisattva asked Vimalakirti about his family and his background and his wife and sons, asking if your sons went to university yet, which university he went to, and how's his grades, and how's his personal relationship with his principal. That's how modern people are, isn't it? Maybe Vimalakirti, during the time of Vimalakirti, it was not like so. Nowadays, if the child of a celebrity family went outside to go to university, I think that's the questions the journalists would ask usually. And other than that, ask about the servants, friends, elephants, horses, and vehicles. In Tibetan language, that addition, it also says who are the horsemen, the person who rides a horse for you, and so on. Who are the servants that you have, your retinues. I think over here, this part about vehicles, horses, elephants, servants, and slaves are mostly talking about the provisions or the belongings that he has, what kind of things and services that he has at that time. So the Bodhisattva really want to dig out those information of Vimalakirti because he's so wise and during classes, I noticed that there are a few people who are often late. I can see just by looking at the number. I know who they are. Maybe some of them are really late because of their work. I know that you have to work really hard in this world and try to fit the schedule of listening to class. Now we've finished about more than half of the Vimalakirti Sutra, and I really hope that majority of you or all of you could persist and finish listening the whole sutra, because you never know if you ever have a chance to teach. If I ever have a chance to teach the sutra again, or you ever have the opportunity to listen to the sutra again, as it is said that it is the Buddha Dharma is so difficult to hear, yet I have already obtained the opportunity to hear it. The body of a human body is so difficult to obtain, yet I've already obtained the human body. Therefore, by seizing such opportunity of listening to Dharma, I think we should all cherish such opportunity. And I think you should definitely have the kind of mind of cherishing such opportunity and cherishing such Dharma. You should definitely chant the before class chanting to generate bodhicitta, and then at the end to dedicate merit to all the sentient beings. And then during listening to class, it's the actual listening aspect. So all the three beneficial things to do: the beginning, chanting, ending end with the chanting, and then in the middle you should pay attention, and during you should pay close attention during listening to this sutra. I was listening. Someone told me that earlier that she grew up in a family that doesn't have any love and affection, and she grew up as this ice cube child. But I myself, I grew up in a Buddhism family, and all the spiritual teachers I've met, they are all Mahayana practitioners. And the way I grew up, I think, is completely different than this ice cube child who grew up in this family of origin that lacks of affection and love. So I think my value is probably different than those of you who grew up in such family. But I think this kind of value is very meaningful for everyone, because it could generate benefit to yourself as well as others. Not only this is important to understand it, it's important to practice it. I think at the beginning it's very difficult, but eventually you'll be able to grasp it. I know there are people who have a great faith towards Buddhism, but they still haven't really engaged in deep study and deep contemplation. I think it is only through the accumulation of studying and contemplation you'll be able to see how your life is completely changed because of Mahayana Buddhism. That is why you should cherish such opportunity of listening to Mahayana Buddhism teaching, and really seize the opportunity of listening with lots of attention and focus. Of course, not only just listen. You have to combine it with your own experience and put it into practice. If you don't put it into practice and work it with your own mind stream, then it will be easily for you to become jaded practitioners who don't take those Dharma inside. And then eventually you have to manifest those benefits that you received and try to benefit others, benefit the society. Due to different karma, everyone's manifestation or everyone's understanding of the wisdom is different. Like in Larongar, there are temples over here who graduate from here as Khenpos and Khenmos. They are very popular and were very much invited to teach in other monasteries, in other places. And maybe because of special history, people are not really invited by others or don't really have such expansive Dharma activity to benefit others yet. But in general, what I think, don't rush to benefit others yet, and just wait for the cause and condition to mature. You may appear to be a very normal lay practitioner or very average practitioner, monastic, but maybe eventually your cause and condition will mature. Eventually, you'll be able to benefit lots of people. Just as we said yesterday, that lotus flowers do not grow in dry and high lands. You need afflictions as the mud to grow. Some people, I think some of the Dharma masters, their aspiration is to basically just have a small temple, small monastery, so that they can meditate in quietude. They can then have a good place to go. And there are other Dharma teachers who made the aspiration of benefiting sentient beings despite the afflictions and the troubles that they may have. So we can see people have different aspirations and different goals in terms of practicing Buddhism. Some people really just want to have a small temple, a small empty temple inside of a mountain, and inside this temple there is one monk, and at the beginning maybe this monk could have a disciple, and eventually the disciple runs away and it's even more quieter. So what we should aspire for is we should have the courage and aspiration to get into the filthy mud, and get into such afflictions and help and benefit others, just as Vimalakirti said. There are so many people who don't want to get into the crowd of people. They just want to stay at home. They don't want to go outside. They don't want to be seen by others. And they live their life like a small thief. That's not good. As Mahayana practitioners, what you should really do and what you should really uptake as part of your practice is to benefit others, and don't be such a coward to hide yourself. Of course, that requires capacity. You have to have certain abilities to help others. Don't go out without such ability and try to lie to others and say that you have such ability. That's not good either. What I'm saying is that people who really have the ability, who truly have the merit, who truly have the realization, then you should be brave enough to get into the filthy mud and to get into the afflictions and benefit others. And lots of bodhisattvas are actually lay practitioners. So the lay practitioners, you should learn from Vimalakirti. In fact, one of the reasons of teaching this particular sutra is that Vimalakirti, as a great lay practitioner who has great realization, he is not manifesting himself as a sick person just lying in his large bed or anything. Let's look at ourselves. Let's reflect upon ourselves. In fact, Vimalakirti doesn't, he manifests in such a way that he doesn't even have a house that's full of furniture, but at least a lot of you, the lay practitioners, you have everything. You have lots of furniture and family members and so on. So it's something to really contemplate upon. So I haven't started yet. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to uptake all the time, but maybe I should stop here now.
下面我们开始讲什么呢？就问那个谁啊，
So after the Bodhisattva asked Vimalakirti, Vimalakirti responded to the Bodhisattva's question in verses. He answered in such a way that the perfection of wisdom is the Bodhisattva's mother. Skillful means is his father. All the assembly of guides, spiritual guides, without exception, are the causes of his birth. So all the assemblies of guides, they all rely upon the perfect wisdom and the skillful means. So the emptiness, the Prajnaparamita as the mother, and the great compassion which benefits all sentient beings is the skillful means. That is the father. So that's the union of wisdom and compassion. Out of such wisdom and compassion, all the bodhisattvas, including Vimalakirti, are born. So Vimalakirti has a father. The father is skillful means, and he has a mother, and the mother is perfect wisdom. In the Heart Sutra, it says that all the Buddhas of 3 times, relying up on the Prajnaparamita, they all attain the Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. So that's how Vimalakirti was born. Vimalakirti is not an orphan. He has a mother and father. His mother and father had it. He had his father and mother at the beginning, and still told today. According to Master Sun Zhao, he said that the wisdom is the mother, the inner mother, which illuminates inside or creates inner illumination. And then father is skillful means, that is to manifest outside to help sentient beings, to liberate sentient beings as methods. The skillful means manifests as external method to liberate sentient beings. Just as how mother would usually carry out more of the household and nurturing aspect of raising family, raising a child, and the father would mostly earn money and support the family. Of course, it's not absolute, but it's mostly that's how it works as a family. So similarly, the wisdom and the skillful means are exactly the same. In a family, if you don't have a mother or don't have a father, then the child may have a broken family, but of course it's not necessary. In a single-parent family or orphans, some they may grow up in a way where they felt they're lacking something in their childhood as or growing up. Of course, not all the time, because some children who grow up in broken families, they're quite wise and compassionate. So, in the previous classes, we said the Shravakas, they have wisdom, but they don't have skillful means, so they are more into the unconditional, this is the unconditioned and enters the primary state. So that's the Shravakas path. And then there are people who have have skillful means but don't have wisdom, they seize everything as solidly existing, then they fall into the web of illusory and get captured and caught by it.
这个执着和失智当中呢，就是难以就是获得解脱。
Then can hardly gain liberation because they're caught in the web of grasping onto solidity of existence.
这个道士的话呢，就是这个维摩诘居士啊，就是这个呢，一定要
Just as according to the collection of concluding our virtuous deeds in oneness.
这是就是讲到了这个维摩诘居士的这个父母的这个状况，是吧？
So that talks about
那下面呢，
the
就
father
是
and
讲到
mother
这
of
个发心呢，
Vimalakirti.
就是以为器啊，就是慈悲心呢，就是为女。 还有那
Joy
个
in
善
the
心和
Dharma
嗔实呢，就
is
是
his
为
wife,
女
and the
毕
mind
竟
of
这个空气呢，
of
就是
sympathy
是
and compassion
这样呢，就是这个
are
意思就是说呢，
is his
维
daughters,
摩诘
and
居
the
士
mind
的
of
这个家庭
goodness
啊，
and
就是包括
sincerity
他
is
的
his
妻子、
sons,
他的
and
女
the
儿、
ultimate
他的
emptiness
这
and
个
serenity
儿子
is his home.
他的这个
So it
住
talks
舍
about
就是
his
他
family,
这几
his
个的话呢，
wife,
那么也
daughters,
是气
sons,
劝
and his
因
home,
为刚才这个
the
菩萨
place
呢
that
担
he
心
resides.
这个维摩诘居士
Because
呢，就是他的妻子
previously
啊、儿女
the
啊，还
Bodhisattva
有
was
他的房
worried
子啊，
about
就是住的什么样？
Vimalakirti's
这是我们实践人
wife
最
and
关心的，对吧？
sons and
就是
daughters
实
and
践
his
人最
home.
关心的。
That's
那维
what
摩
people
诘居士怎
usually
么回
care
答
the
的呢？就是
most
他说
in
有，
this
有妻子，有女子，有
mundane
儿
world.
子，房子都有，就什么
And
都有，没事。
Vimalakirti then answered that, don't worry, I have wife, I have children, I have a home.
这个菩萨比较担心，就是他没有这个。那
The
那有的
Bodhisattva
话呢，
was a
就
little
是
worried,
这
so
到底是什么
Vimalakirti
呢
was？trying
他
to
说，首
ease
先
his
第一
worry.
个呢，就是发心啊，就是
First
对
of all,
那个
he
大
said
乘
that
佛法的这个
the
关
joy
系
in
心
the
呢，就是
Dharma
是他的这个妻子，
is his
就是他
wife.
的妻子。因为一般那个妻
Because
子的话呢，就
wife
是能让
or spouse
对他呢，就是产生这个欢喜心啊，就是对
gives
那个丈夫呢，就是产
joy
生欢喜
to
心。就是那么这
to
个
the husband
大乘
or
佛
the
法的
other
话呢，就
spouse.
是对这个对他呢，就是也产生就是极
So
大的这个欢
the
喜心，
Mahayana
而且这种
Dharma
欢喜心呢，就是并不
give
是
rise
这
to
个
joy.
今天欢喜，明天不
And
欢
this
喜。
kind of joy is
如果
not
妻子
about
的话呢，就是今天就是
making
可能比较
the
欢喜
making
啊，
the
就是什
husband
么的，过一
happy
段时间就是吵
today
架，就是
and
然后就不
not
欢喜，就是
making
可能
the
跟大
other
乘佛教呢就是没有什
happy
么不
on
欢
the
喜
next
的啊，
day.
就是如
But
果是
Mahayana
一个女性的这
Buddhism
种修行人来就
is
是这样
not
的话
like
呢
that.
那就是这个她的发心呢，就是她的丈夫啊，
So
就是那么
for
就是她有没有丈夫呢？有丈夫，
female
就是大乘
practitioner,
佛法，修法就是
then
我的
it
丈
should
夫。
go like this.
这
The
样来
joy
理
in
解
the
对吧？
Dharma is
就
his
是这是
husband,
第一个。
is her
然后呢
husband.，
就是慈心和悲心，
goes the
也就是
same
说
way.
慈心悲心呢，本来
And
就
the
是它
mind
带有
of
一种
sympathy
爱，
and
就是那么就
compassion
是有一种柔软性，就
is
是有
his
一种柔
daughters.
和的这种心啊。
So this
那
kind
么
of
这个
soft
呢，
and
就是
tender
说是
and
女儿
gentle
啊，
loving
她有没
kindness
有女儿呢？
is his
有女儿
daughter.
有什么样的女儿呢？
So his
依靠
daughter
大乘佛
is
法的需求呢，就是最后就是一跟那个大乘佛法跟他这个一切的这种相合和一
It's
切的这样
this
的追求呢，最后呢就是生出了对
gentleness
所有的
and
众生呢，
tenderness
就是不
that
偏不
he
夺的
has
这样的这种悲心
for
啊，就是
the
慈悲心呢，
sentient
就是他
beings.
的这个女儿啊，就是非常的这个柔和可爱，
Really
就是
lovely,
人人都
very
就是
loving, very
就
tender.
遇到的话呢，
Everyone
就是都
whomsoever
自然而然
sees
产生
his
这个
daughter
欢喜心的，
would
就这样的女
give
儿。
rise to
然后那个他有没有
sense
儿子的话呢？
of,
有，就是什么呢？
happiness.
一个是善良
And
的
the mind
心，
of
还有呢
goodness and
就是
sincerity
诚实啊，
is
诚实的
his
话呢，就是
son.
不虚伪的啊，就是没有狡诈心的，
Sincerity
而且
shows
呢
that
也是
it's
非常
not
能干的，
hypocrisy.
还有呢
It's
就是能这个
very
继承家业的啊，就是这样的这种
is very
这
capable of
个
inherit
儿子，
the
也就是说
family
呢
and the
如果不
lineage.
善良的话呢，虽然有能力，
So
就是
goodness
能
over
继
here
承
also
家
means
业，可是呢
kindness.
就是他可能
Without kindness, you
就
can
就
still inherit
因为
the
不善良的原因呢，
family,
就是
the family
就很多
legacy
事
or the
情就是会
lineage.
最后一败涂地，
But
有这个可
at the
能。所以
end,
呢
it will
在
fail
前
without kindness.
这个
So
善
that's
良
why
就是
it's
非常
both
具有
aspects
这个
are
善
quite
良的这个心
important.
的前提下呢，就是
So
他
on
就
the
真实的。
foundation
那么
of
这个是他
kind-heartedness
他跟那个
and
妻儿呢，就是妻子呢，就是说
sincerity
生的这
and
个
honesty
儿子是
as
这
his
样的，
quality,
儿子是这样的。
his son
然后呢，
will be
就
able
是
to
他有他的
inherit
房
the
子，
Dharma.
就是也就是说我们世界人们
And the
关心的
ultimate
房子是什
emptiness
么
and
呢？就
serenity
是
is home.
他通到了一切万法毕竟是空啊，就
His
毕竟是空
home
和寂灭的
is
这样的这
the
种境
home of
界。因为
realization
房
of
子呢，就是
emptiness
所
and
有的家
serenity.
庭的这个受益。 就所有
home is a
这个
place
妻子儿
where
女的这个，
the
所以呢，其实是放
the
的。
spouse
那
and
就是作为
children and
他的话
himself
呢，就是
will
也是一样的，
rely
就是
on
慈悲心
upon.
也好，那么这个对法
So
的
let
这个
it
祈求
be
心也好，
compassion,
真
let
实
it
和
be the
善
joy
良的
of
心的
Dharma,
依
let it
靠
be
的话呢，
kindness
就
and
是
serenity.
万法具有
All
共
of
性的，就
those
是人受
all
到万法
rely
具有
upon
共
the
性的，就是这样
realization
的这
of
种所
all
以，所以
phenomena
呢，
are
就是他
empty.
已经居住了，就是
So
所有的这
he
些
already
这些
has
这
all
个
the
架
qualities
势吧，
and
就
has
是
all
就
the
是我们。实
family
践当中确实也是
components.
这样的，就是我们这个遇到什么人的时候呢，就是都会就是问这些事情。但是
Whenever we meet
如果我们
everyone,
时间的一
meet
个角度来
anyone,
讲的
we
话呢，
kind of ask
这个
about
时间
their
大多数
family and
这个在家
their
人的话
where
呢，
they
就
live
确
and
实
so
有这
on.
个家庭的，而且这个家庭呢，
As
就
lay
是也不能
practitioners,
就是没有
you
因为
do
社会的
have
一
a
个
family
构成的最重要的这个
because
一
a
个细胞，
family
就是
is
整个社会的这个不管是
important
社会稳
unit
定也
of
好，
the
世界和平也
society.
好，它的主要的这
So
个原动力
the
呢，就是来源于我
world
们每个
peace
人的这
and
个家庭。
harmonious
如果家
society
庭呢，就是不
all
和谐，
depend
确实是
on
很难以这
a
个
peaceful
对整
and
个世界呢
harmonious
就是带来
family.
这个和平。那所有的这些家庭呢，就是前一段时间我们讲的一样的，将来
In our
呢，就
previous
是可能
class,
会会
as
有一些
we
变化，
talked
但是呢，
earlier,
没
we
有
talked
变化
about
之前
the
的话呢，
unit of
我们
family
尤其
may
是佛教
function
徒啊，
and
就是作为
may
佛教徒的话呢，确实学了佛之后呢，大多数人对那个
may
家
be
人
built
呢
up
关系
in
就越来
different
越好
ways.
然后呢，对这个
As
家人
practitioners,
的
as
这种这
Buddhists,
个
you notice that as
和
a
睦
good
和睦相
practitioner,
处呢，就
your
是跟以往的
family
不同。
will
以
get
前
more
的是
harmonious.
以前呢，整天的是就是没完没了的，没
In
完
the
没了
past,
的开
maybe
始吵
you
架
had
啊，
lots
就是
of
甚至打
quarrels
架
and
啊，就是这样的。
fights.
我们藏族有一种这个说法叫做
In
吵架的
Tibet,
时候是母亲这个的胜利，
We
打架
often
的时候
say
是父
that
亲的胜利。
whenever there is a quarrel,
所以这
usually
个
the
家人
mother
的话呢
wins, and
就
whenever
是
there
可
is a
能
physical fight,
经常
usually
呢
the
就是
father
有这个吵
wins.
吵闹闹的这种现象。
So
其
in a
实这些都
family,
很
it's
好的，就是就像那
very
个这
often,
个当
lots
着
of
吧，
families
什么这
often
个
have
家人呢，
lots
就是
of
像
quarrels,
顾
lots
客
of
的这个祭祀的这个客
differences
人
and
一样的，就
fights.
是不要这个吵架
in
当着吧，
the
就当时我咋唱么的，从
teachings
俺想他们嘛是当着吧。就是我们前心里面也
In
有
the teachings
就
of
是
Dingri,
就
to
像
the
这
people
个
of
一样的，
Dingri,
就
it
是
says
这个
that
家人呢，就是真实的一个因缘居住的，
the
最后的话
family
呢，就
members
是
are
都
all
会
together
都会
just
分离
because
的，
of
就
the
是都会
temporary
离开的。
costs
所
and
以
the
我们
conditions.
拥有这个家庭
So
的时
as
候
long
呢，
as you have
就作
such
为
a
佛教徒
family
而
as
言，就是
Buddhists,
大家也应
you
该更加
should
的这个和爱。
cherish
那么这
and
个一边这个修行，一边呢，就是对
seize the
家人就是做
opportunity
事情。
of
现在有些佛
practice
教徒的
as
话
well
呢，
as
一
to
学佛以后
benefit
呢，就
your
是就
family
根本不
members.
挣钱呐，就是什么都不
There
做啊
are，
天天的是拿着一
Buddhists
个课本，
who
就是就坐
once
在这个
they
屋子里
studied
面。那这
Buddhism,
样
they
肯定
stopped earning
没办法，
money,
就
they
是怎么活
stopped
下去？
bringing
现在这个社会的竞争力那么
bread
强，
onto the
我
table.
建议呢，
They
佛教
only
徒还
chant
是应该
mantras, use
好
their
好的
prayer
该挣
wheels.
的钱就是应该要挣，该上班的应该
How
上
could
班
you survive， in
该
such a
该做事
society
情的
like
应该
this?
这个做
Therefore,
事。
I call
佛
upon
教
all
徒
the
不应该越来
Buddhists
越
to
难度，
earn
不然的
money
话，
to
最后呢就是
benefit
佛教徒
to
全
your
部不挣
family
钱，都要
and
靠
to
别人来养的话呢，
create
那我们
financial
就变
success
成了
to
一对
yourself
这
and
个
your
乞丐了，
family
就
as
是
well.
这样很可怜
Otherwise,
的了。
how
本来
could your
出家人
family
也是
survive? How could
就
you
是
survive?
出家人的话呢，他可以
And
就是
how
用
could
一
you
种
have any
这
spot
个
to
应该
stand
是
in
以
this
出家的这
society?
个寺庙的一些生活的话呢，自古以来都有
If
这
you
样的一种
were
习惯。
to
现在所有的这个在家的这个佛教徒也要不干活，就是然后大家都要靠这个社会和爱心人士来
If you
养
were
着
to
的话
become
呢，
a
那
monastic and
就有
just
点
live
这
in the
个
temple,
就是
then
压力
that's a
比较
different
大。
story. But if
建议呢，
it's
还是 我看有
lay
些佛教徒真的
practitioners
很能干
who
的，就是不管
live
怎
in
么
this
样，
society,
因
then
为
you
现在
have
这个
to
社会变化特别大，
generate
你的
financial
所有的工
find
作都没有什
financial
么可
support
确
to
定，
yourself
没有
and
安
your
全感。
family.
这
Otherwise,
个
you
当中
can't
的话呢，
ask for the
有些还
society
是
to
换
provide
了很
you
多很多工作。
instead.
我遇到一
There
个佛教
are
徒非常能
Buddhists
干，
who are
但是
very
呢，
good
他
at
就换
working,
了，就是
very
好像
good
一年
at
当中的换了9次工
working.
作，一
But
年
she
当中
changed the
基本上
jobs
一个
for
月
9
一次
times.
很不容易的，但是还没有那个怎么说啊，就还是很认真的在对待着，就是这个也我
But
觉得有
in
必要
any
的。
cases, despite all those changes, she's still
这是一
trying
个方
very
面
hard
的，对
to
吧？
maintain the job.
然后还有一个方面呢，
That's
在
one
这里就是
aspect.
这样的是什
On
么
the
呢
other aspect
我们很多人认为是那
is
个
that
家庭 家庭
Many
很重要，
people
但是如
put
果
great importance
这个家里的
to
比如说这
family
个
life.
没有儿子女儿或者
If
说
a
是没
family
有这个
doesn't
妻
have
子丈夫，这样的话认为是人
doesn't
生
have
是不完
children
美
or
的，
doesn't have
非
the
常痛苦
family
尤其是我
or
们
you
现
don't
在
have
很
a
多
family,
的
you don't have
这
a
个媒体的
spouse.
这个导向的
Many
有关系
others may
就是来
think
到这个
that
世界的时
this
候呢，你一定
is
要
suffering.
就
You're
像
too
世间人的话
lonely.
呢，一定要结
In
婚啊，
fact,
一定
this
要
is
好像西方稍微好
merely
一点，
the
像很多
influence
地
of
方的话呢，
media.
就是什么避婚，就是哇，这个最
I think
父
this
母
is
都是真的
this
是
kind
每
of
天
situation is
就很
probably
多
better
有
in
些
the West,
有
but
些
in
年轻
China,
人的话
if
呢，就是现在
you
跟这个传
don't
统的
get
不同了，
married,
就是
then
有
the
的时候
family will
就
put
是
lots
就
of
没办
pressure
法，就
until you
是
get
待在自
married.
己的这个家
I
里，
don't
不
think
不想
that's
见
very
父母，
good.
就是这样的。
Especially
这种
creates
这
so
个
much
传统的
tension
话
and
呢，
pressure
也许是
to
确实
the
这是一个传统，
children. They
但
don't
也许
even
的
want to
话
see
呢，
their
将来的
parents
家
because
庭
they
结
want to
构会有
avoid
变
them.
化的是什么？一旦就是你
In
什
fact,
么家人
marriage
就
is
是
not the most
不完美了
important.
比如说你没有这个子女，那没有这个丈夫，没有这个
If
妻
you
子
don't
的时候
have a
我想这
spouse,
里呢
if
就
you
是这
don't
么好
have
好的，就是
children,
如果没有这个
don't feel
丈
too
夫
much
妻子的话
pressures.
呢，你有发系匆忙的话呢，这个也已
Because
经有了，
you can
就是
refer
你
to
的这
this
个
stanza.
终身伴侣就已
You
经有
can
了，就
see the
天天
joy
看
in
一
the
本书
Dharma
就
as
可
your
以了。
spouse.
如果没
You
有这个
can see
女
the
儿没有
mind of
儿子的
sympathy
话
and
呢，就是你
compassion
就
as
有
your
慈悲
daughters.
心啊，就是
You
这些
have
的
the
话呢，
loving
就是也
kindness
也
as
是
your daughter
确实是
and
也是可
the
能现在很
mind
多这个
of
子女的
kindness
是
and
不孝
charity
顺嘛，
as
就
your
是你相
son.
续当中有
In
慈悲心
fact,
和善良的心的话呢，
Lots
那这
of
辈子怎么样也
lots
是
of
应该
children
是不会
nowadays
有
they
很大的
don't
这个
really care about their
就
parents nowadays.
当然
But
这个
as
住处
long
的
as
话
you
呢，
have
就是可
loving
能要
kindness
需要
and
一个，不然
sincerity
我们
and
这里的有些
kindness
人没有住处，
to
光是这个关空心可能还不
in
行
your
的。
heart, I think you'll be fine. But the home is still
关
quite
空心的
important.
话呢，
If you
就
only
是什么，就是老荣最近还在这个下大雪。
if you
刚才
only
刚才下的雪
have a
特别大
home
我比较
out
担
of
心那个
emptiness, that's
很多什
probably
么
not
猫
going to
腻啊
help.
很多
Especially
外面的
today,
这个
Larongar
废
is
气呢
still
这些都是可能找不到吃的
having
就是
is
你看
still
昨天下大雪，今天
having
下大雪，今
the
天下
large
了一天
snowfall.
看刚才
Yesterday
是
was
特别大
snowing,
所以
and
在这个
today
时
it
候呢
snowed for the
我
whole
们如果
day.
没有这个住的
So
地方，就是
in
下完课以
such
后
kind of a
关空心的
condition,
话呢，
if
也
you
许
don't have a
边关
shelter
空
to
心边
stay,
这个
you
就
just
像那个什
practice
么
up
来看
on
那个
emptiness,
这
contemplate
个
on
发
emptiness.
现大师的这个弟子一样，
Then
就是
you
边
would
这
have
个在
to
雪山死了都不知道，
be
所以可能
you
关
might
空心也需要，但是呢，可
be
能要
like
个
the
住处
disciple
还
of
可能需
Master
要，
Fa Xian
对
who
吧？
died
这个
in snow
有个住
mountains.
处的话，那就是其他的
Well,
什
a
么
place
这
to
个儿女
stay,
什么
a
的
shed
没有也
over
可以，这是叫
your
什么呢？这是一
head
个
is
精
still
神
quite
上的财富。
important.
我们世
So
间
what
好
we
多
call
人
it
的话呢，
is
这
the
个一定要
spiritual
有一种
wealth.
自己的这种希望，就是
I
寄托
think
在什么呢？就是寄托在一个伴侣、儿女，或者
Nowadays,
说是
many people have
就
their
其他的
hope
这个人的
and
身上。
their
这是一个很痛苦的这个事情
idea
就是
and
确实是，
build it
如
up
果你
on
从自己的这个感情呢，就是从
their
依赖于
spouse
其
or
他
their
人当中，
family
就是找到你的安全感的话
and
呢，
searching
不
for
可靠
a
的。
sense
应该每
of
一个人呢，就是
security
顺着自己
from
的意愿，
others.
就是寻找你自己的这个所需要的这个
But I think it's
依靠
really
处
important
就是
to
你
look
你如果
within
真的
and find
这
that
个比如
place
说
that
一个
you
什么世间人的
you
话
can
呢，就是一
rely
般来讲呢，
up
就是可能
on.
丈夫啊、妻子啊，这是在我们的这
Majority
个
of
观念当
people
中，我们的一个观问模式当中的，
have
就是
such kind of
这
a
种观摩
reference
当中
and
的话呢
habitual
一直是
pattern
不可缺少的。
of
但是，一
having
旦有些
of
修行人的话呢，缺少的话呢，也
have
许是
to
更加的
have
这种
a
快
spouse
乐，
and a
这是
family and
更加
children.
的这个快乐。
But
就是这
maybe
个原因
without
是什么
that,
呢？我也
if
在
you
可
were
以这
to
个
find
讲一下有一个
something
这个出要经
within
的故事啊。佛经里面有一个出要经的
if you can
故
find
事啊
something
就跟
within,
大家
then
讲
you will be
一
able
下
to find the genuine happiness. And I'm going to tell you a story from Uddana Varga Sutra.
这个是韩国语的。
This is the Korean version of Always Present.
不知道这个4块石头
What are these 4 blocks of colors represent?
不离。
always present.
什么意思？
What does that mean?
站在一起，
Oh, to stay together?
但是一部分还没站呢。
But not all of them are connected. It's just partially connected.
站在一起。
standing together.
刚才我讲到一个
Well, I was going to tell you this story from
佛经当中，出家经里面有这
from
样
a
的
sutra.
故事。我们实践的很多这
In
个
fact,
爱就是这样的
it
话
tells the
呢，
story
就还
of
是最终是这个无
love
常，
and
这个
romance
无常的道
are
理呢，
all impermanent.
最终是痛苦的。但是人们呢，就是
People
大多数都不知道，就是
Don't
它是
understand how
痛苦的。
the
那么
seemingly
这个
happy love and
公
romance
案呢，就是
could
什么样呢？
be
就是
the source
佛
of
陀有一次
suffering.
跟那个
So this is the
婆罗门
story of it.
啊，就是婆罗门呢，就
Once
是讲了
Buddha
这个
was
实
telling
践
a
的这个
Brahmin
爱的这个许
the
多的这
truth
种
of
感受
love
呢，
and
最终
romance
还是这个
are
痛苦的。那么这个时候，这位婆罗门
bringing
呢，
to the
就是他
result
就不
of
承认
suffering. But the
他就觉得
Brahmin
实
didn't
践的这
agree
种
with
感
the
情
Buddha
很美好的，
because they
就
felt
是哪有
that
哪有痛苦的，
the
然后他就不
love
同意，马
relationships
上呢，
and
在
romance
佛陀
is
身
really
边就
beautiful.
已经这个离开了。
And it's
离
not
开之后
suffering
呢
at all.
他去到一个村庄里面，去到
After
村庄里面的
heard
时
of
候
the
呢
story,
有
he
这个
then left the
有
Buddha
两
and
位
then
这
went
个
into a
就
village
是
where
就
he
是
met two people
一
over
对
there.
男女的话呢，就是他们就
A
爱
couple,
就是
in
在那里
fact.
这个就是就过着是比较美好的
And
这个生活吧。
this couple was
那么这
leading
个
a
时候
very
呢，
happy
就是刚
life
才那位婆罗
and
门就是
full
告
of
诉
love and
告
affection
诉
towards
这
each
两
other.
位就是其他呢，
And then
因为
the
他对
Brahmin
做的不恭敬
told
其他呢，就是说是实践的这种
told
爱
the
呢，实际上是痛苦的。你们觉
the
得是对不
couple
对？
and
然后这
asked
两位
them,
呢，就是说是哪对啊？
well,
我们过
since
得很
you are
快
having
乐
such a
就
love
是
and
这
a
这是
romantic
怎么
life,
就
what do you
这样
think
呢？
of
就是
this
肯定不是，你看我们过
monk's
得那么的这个快
teaching
乐。
and calling him monk
那么这个
because
时候呢，
the
就是
Brahmin
他就
doesn't
更加有信
agree
心了，
with the
就是觉
Buddha
得
and
他自己也这样觉
disrespecting
得，
him.
而其他
And
人
then the
也
couple
真
said,
是给
no,
他
I
这
don't
样
think
讲
that's
的。
true.
然后
We
呢，就是
really
他
enjoy
就
our
非常这个
our
骄傲
love
地
life
就是给
together.
很
And
多人
then
呢，就是不
after
断地
hearing
这个
such
讲啊，就是这个
confirmation
其他
from
说的
this
是这个
couple,
错误的这个见解，就是
and after
实
hearing
践的
lots
这
of
种这个
confirmation
快乐
from
的
this
生活的
from
他
the
不对，就
villagers
是
over
就
there,
他一直把这个
this
思想呢，就是
Brahmin
就开始
then
就
had
传播
lots
出
of
去。
confidence that
之后的
he
话
was
呢，慢
right
慢慢
and
慢
the
就是
Buddha
把
was
这个
wrong
话
in
呢，
terms
就
of
是已经传到这个波斯
this
匿王的这
teaching.
个王宫里面去了。
And then
然后王宫里面
all
去
the
了之
people
后
were
呢，这
talking
个
about it.
这个国王听到
Eventually,
这个国王
this
对他的这个夫人
teaching
呢，
and
就
this
是最看
story
夫人
then
叫穆利夫人。那么
then
对穆利夫人
were
就是
spreaded
说是
to
我今天
the
听到，就
palace.
是说是
And
其
then
他
the
呢，当时
king
他还没有皈依
who
佛，
is
他
at
的
that
这
time
个夫人是一个佛教徒。
Prasanjit.
他说，这个其他呢，就是听说是这个
And
实
the
践的这
king
个恩
asked
爱的所有的这
his
些感受
queen,
呢，最终
his
是
queen's
痛
name
苦
is
的，就是
Malika,
你觉得是怎
and
么样？
he
然后
asked for
这
his
个
queen's opinion,
夫
saying
人呢，
that,
就是
what do you think? Do
告
you
诉
think the
他，
Buddha
就
was
是
right?
其实是他说的是
And
确
the
实是
queen
对的，
answered by
就是
saying,
一
I
点没有
think
错误。
what he said was
但是
correct.
国王呢，就是不承认。
The
他说
the
你以为
the
是这
king
个
was
佛的弟子，
thoroughly
就是
confused,
这个原因呢，
and he said,
你不
no,
承认
you're
而已，
only
实际
saying
上
this
是
because you are a
这
disciple of
个
the
是
Buddha.
不合理的，就是
But what
实
he
践
said
的
is
这种
not
这个感
is
情呢，就是应该
unreasonable.
是快乐的、幸福的。
In fact,
那么这个夫人呢，就是告诉他，
love and
你想一
emotions
想，
and
你是个身
affection
边的以前的
is a
什么
source of
某某将
happiness.
军啊，还有两位这个女人啊，这些的
Then
话呢，
Malika,
你是
the
不是以
queen,
前特别
started
爱他
giving
们
the
他说
example
是啊
to，
但
the
最终
king
的话呢，就是因
and
为他们
saying
离开
that
呢，就是你是不是
you had
不
this
开心、
great
痛苦、伤
cabinet
心
at that
是
time,
不是
and
这样？他说是
you
对啊，
really
是这样。
liked the
那
two
这
other
样，我
women
还问一个
who
事
then
情，
later
你
left
是不
you.
是对我就是特别
Did you
有爱
like
爱
them
的这种
before?
心？
And the
他说
king
是
said
啊，我
yes.
对你的
And
这
then
种
the
爱
queen
的话呢
said,
远
so
远
are you
超过
hurt
就是
from
刚才前面
that
这
they
三个
left
坏
you?
蛋。
And the king said, yes, I'm hurt. Then
开
the
玩
queen
笑，坏
said,
蛋是我自己加的。
the queen then said, do you love me? And the king said, oh, so much more than those
然后
three
然
bad
后那
guys.
个就是
No, the king didn't
那
say
那就是
three bad
有一
guys.
天
I
呢，就是
added
我也
that
变成
myself.
无常了，就是对你。
And then the queen
不喜
continued to
欢
ask and
那这
saying
样的
that,
话呢，你会不
well,
会痛苦，或
everything's
者是到社
impermanent.
会就是
And
特
once
别就是
if
状况
I
或者特别
left
不
you,
高兴，
if I
会不会这样？
dislike you, would you
他说，
be
是呀，
upset
那
and
肯定的，没什么说的了。
be angry? And then the king said, "Of
所以
course."
他还问那个，那你说那个就是是不是你对这个全国人民就是特别
And then the queen continued to ask
是啊，
him,
就是我现在拥有的
So,
一切
do you like your
这个全国的
citizens
这种
within this
这个人们对
kingdom?
我的这个
The
拥
king
护
said,
所以
"Of
我还是
course,
特别爱我的
because
这
they
个
are
国
very
家和
supportive
人
of
民。
me, therefore
那
I
他
do
又
love
继续
them
问
as well."
一旦就是你
And
的
then
这
the
个
queen
人们呐
continued to
就是
ask
全
him,
部都
saying
反
that
抗，就是都
if once
都
all the
变
citizens
也
in
信
this
了，那
country
这样的话，你会不会还
rebel,
会
all
这个
rebel people on you, would you still love them? And then the king said, no, I will suffer a lot. And then the queen summarized by saying that, in fact, that's what the Buddha was teaching. Because everything is impermanent. Maybe now it appears to be happy, but eventually there will be impermanence. And at that time, it will bring suffering. And then the king understood the teaching of the Buddha. And then he said in verses saying that from attachment one gains apprehensions, from attachment one gains fear. If one is free from attachment, why does one need to feel apprehension or fear? So once you're free from attachment, then you are free from apprehension and fear. So, as of now, all the love and affections that we experience in our family and in our relationships may appear to be very, very true, very solid. But the West and the East, all of this happiness, all of these beautiful pictures that you see from such kind of image are probably not the truth of it. Just as how young people nowadays, they grasp onto what this world appears to be, but the truth of this world is far more from that image. Lots of movies, medias, they promote certain ideas. The idea of love and affection is the most important thing to gain in life. And at that time, by listening to such promotion, it sounds so wonderful. It sounds very heaven-like if you were to gain it. But if you were to have that in your real life, then it probably won't be that beautiful or wonderful anymore, and that's the truth of the world. So, within a family, the family in this world may appear to be very necessary. Yes, on a mundane level, it is necessary. But if we can attain slightly higher realization or be like Vimalakirti, other than this mundane world, materialistic world means of family, you don't see this kind of family as necessary. You see more of a spiritual world, a spiritual family. Then this kind of materialistic or external family is no longer that necessary. In this mundane world, many people, in fact, many people have a variety of ways of making their living or live their lives. Not everyone has to adapt the same method, the same way of living. I know that a majority of people do live in the way how a family is traditionally constructed, which is quite important as well. This story, the story I just told, is actually very similar to what a family and how people would also consider, would also agree. Nowadays, if you were to tell someone that love and affection is a source of affliction and suffering, if you were to tell them the truth, they would explode out of anger, and they would argue with you and saying that you must be mad, you're crazy. This kind of family life and this kind of life with affection and love is so important, is the source of happiness. Usually when I take a taxi, people would stare at me, look at me up and down, and say, "Oh, you're a monk?" And then they would start asking me questions. All the cab drivers.
所以呢，就是现在这个
They're so
我们这个
curious
事件呢
about
其实刚才那个
why I don't have a
刚才
family
那个
and so on.
那个年轻人的话呢，也是这样的，就是他就刚开始呢，就是认为是
At the beginning,
现在的这个模式呢，是
they would feel
最好
that
的就我们也承认
nowadays
实践
this
当中确实
mode,
有
this
这个实践的感情，实践的美好，实践
this
的
kind of
快乐
love and affections
那么
are so
不一定
important
每一个
within
人呢，就
family
是造
for
到
one's
最后呢，
life.
就是痛苦
But
为从
yes, on
现
one
实生
hand,
活
we
当
do
中
agree
实践
to
的
have
这
love
个
and
这个
affection
家
in
庭的
family is
快乐
quite
就是应该是
important,
有的
but
但是我们从比较
from
深层次
a
的
more
去讲
profound
就是
and more
一切的
analyzed
这个事件的这
level
种
of
快乐也好，一切
understand
的聚会也好，
such
最重要的就是
happiness
会
and
这个
such
会面
love
那那
and
个时候的话
affection
呢
that people have
实
in
际
this
上是什
mundane
么样的
world,
这种感受
you should be able to
有些
understand
尤
where
其是现在这
and
个大
what
多数
it
的话呢
leads，to.
还不是到最终啊，就是可能很快的时间当中，包括我们
Sometimes
现
it
在的
didn't
这个
even
事件
last
的
long
这个
for
家
it
庭
to
的话，
go
刚开
bad
始
to
可能
rotten. And
大
such
家都
happiness
就是非
sometimes
常有兴趣
rottens
然后
really
慢慢的
fast.
话呢，就是有很多的这种痛苦要产生
At the。
这是什么
beginning,
原因呢
things？
其实
are
我们对
very
这个
uh,
人的这个
joyful,
心态也好，对
but
生活的
very
这
quickly
个实相呢，就是并没有就是
such
特别
happiness
深深的去了解
disappears。very
一旦深
fast.
深的了解的话呢，
So
在
I
你
think
的
it's quite
生活
important
当
to
中
see the
发生的
truth
很多事情
of
的
this
话呢，
world,
其
to
实
the
是必
truth
然的
of
其
such
实是必然
emotions.
的。所以
At the
我也在
beginning,
想我们这个，包括我们今天
you may
在
not
座的各
see
位大家一起
such
听课，但是这个事件呢，
it
就是
will
以后
take,
让维持多长时间，就
after
是都是
analysis
无
you'll
常
be able to
的。我
see
们自己的话呢，就
just
是
as
我是这样的，
impermanence.
每天都是。讲完课以后的话呢，就是很好的去回想一下，就是
And
今天之前
we're
的这个
listening to
工
the
作
class,
那下
but
一
you
场就
never
是有没有
know
呢？就是
if we
非常
were
非常的
going
这
to
个
have the
难
next
受
class. But
也
that's
许可能有
just
些人是这是
the
我的一
truth
个
of
气人，有一天觉得
impermanence.
没有必要吧。
Every time after I
会这样
finish
想
teaching a
但
lesson,
实际上也
I
并不是这样的
really
我
take
们
the
实践当
time
中
and
这个所有的
take
一切的
lots
发生的
of
话呢，就是大多
concentration
数都
to
是
dedicate
突
the
然而来
merit.
的。当你突然这个
Because I
发
never
生
know
了，
whether
最
if I will
终
be
你
able
的
to give such
所
teaching
有的这
again.
种生活方式就是
In
发生改
fact,
变的时候呢，我们就不
the
会有什么
impermanence
这
that
个
happens
太
really
大的这个
quickly
遗憾，
in a
就是
blink
啊，就
in
我
the
原
blink
原
of
来的
an
自己
eye.
遭遇这样的这种准备，就是这个时候呢，
Lots
你
of
可能你的这个痛苦呢也会这个减少很
catastrophe
多。
happens really quickly.
那
So
我们
we
再
should
还
really
要
have
讲
such
一
a
些
mind
吧
of
我们今天还要
impermanence.
讲一些
So let's talk a little more.
我们一般来讲就讲到那个9点10分，对吧？
Usually we continue to 10 past 9, isn't it?
接下来呢就讲到什么？
So we'll continue to the
就
next
他
stanza.
刚
It
才就
says,
是在这个问题当中呢，就是也可以说你这个什么眷属啊，就是三知识啊，就是这些，然后
in the
文末这句诗呢，就是说我有这
in
个
the question
眷
also,
属
the
什么眷属
Bodhisattva
呢？
asked
首先
about
是
the
这个弟
disciples
子
and
啊
the
我
spiritual
有这个
friends or
弟子
spiritual
那
teacher.
弟子呢，就是
So
指的是什么
Vimalakirti
呢
then answered
众
over here in
尘劳就是
verses,
岁之
he
所
said
造
that
就
his
他弟子是
disciples
指的是烦恼啊，就是
are
烦恼，众尘劳，众
his
尘劳是
are
众多的这个
afflictions,
烦恼，
are
然后众多的这个
many
烦恼呢，就是他就
afflictions.
按照他的这个调伏烦恼的方式来随
And
意
then
呢，
he
就是把
would
他们
convert
调
those
伏，把
afflictions
他们
as
呢
he
就是
wishes or
就
tame
是
those
对治
afflictions
啊，就是把
as
他
he
们就
wishes
是就进行呢就是调整，就转为道用，
and
就是这样
turn
的。
them onto the path of the Dharma.
这个呢，
That's his
就是说
disciple.
这个像智者大师他们呢，就是
According
讲
to
到是
Master
84000个这
Chi
个
Yi,
烦恼的话
he
呢，
said
就
in
都
the
是这
commentary,
个调整于什
say
么呢？
that
就是三目
the
的当中吧。但是
84,000
当然有个别的一些
afflictions
注
are
释当
tamed
中啊，
within
包括圣
samadhi.
照大师啊，就有个别的话呢，
Master
就是他
Sunjao
对你的
and
众尘
other
劳呢，他把众是
commentaries,
这
they
个解释成这
explained
个众生啊，就是
over
众生的
here
话好像
congregation
不是特别的
as
这
sentient
种适合，
beings.
就是因为
I
众生
don't
烦恼
think
啊，或
that's
者是
very
众
appropriate
生的
to
烦恼，就是
explain
这
it
样
in
不是
some way,
不是特别好。
as
不好的原
his
因是什么
disciples
呢？因为
are
他这里
the
的每一
afflictions
个
of
每一
all
个道
sentient
理呢，
beings.
就是都有一
I
个
don't
跟
think
这
that
个前面的
works
问答有
very
关系的
well.
那他这里的
Why?
问答呢，你第一
Because
次是什么呢？
all
我
of
的
his
第一次是
answers
烦恼的。
are
一
connected
般
to
来
the
讲，弟子
questions
是
that's
听
asked
那
by the
个就是他的
Bodhisattva.
这个老师
Therefore,
或
over
者
here,
上师的话，
the
那这个我的弟
disciples,
子是什么呢？
if
我的弟
they were
子
the
是这些烦
disciples
恼，
of
这些
other
烦恼
sentient
呢，
beings,
我就
that's not
把他们
really
就是
his disciples.
调得很好的啊，就是贪嗔痴
But
八万四千
it
烦恼的话，
works
那就是我把他们
better
就
if
是
it's
就是每一个烦恼都是
if over here congression
听从我的，不
is
像我们有
translated
些
as many,
有
so
些人一样
his
的，
many
就是
afflictions are his
经常呢
disciples.
就是听烦恼的，就烦恼不听自己的，就是那文
So
末居
his
士的这个
afflictions
烦
would
恼呢，
listen
就
to
是
him
就是听他的，
rather
就
than
是常恒
he
心
would
出来的
listen
时候，
to
就你
his
不要过来，
afflictions
就
like
好好的给我
like most
带
of
着
people over here.
好，一家奉行，这样。
The afflictions would call you and say
然后
that,
他嫉妒
hey,
心
you
就
come
赖
here.
的时候呢，
And
就是也
then
就
you
他随
would
意的这
answer
个
by
随意
saying,
的这个
okay,
安排
as
的
you
话呢，
wish.
都会听的。可是我们的烦恼呢，还是有
So
点
his
这个权力比较
afflictions
大
would
的，
listen
经
to
常
him
经常呢
as
就
his
是
disciples,
让我
as
们就
good
不让
disciples
这
are listen
个
to
差
the
数，就
teacher.
是有他自己
But
想做什么就做什么，
our
不是这样的。
disciples,
所以
in
他的
fact,
这个
we
弟子呢是什么
our
呢？弟
afflictions
子
are
是
not
不
our
烦恼
disciples.
不烦恼
We're
的话
rather
呢，
like
就是他随意
the
呢，就是可以
disciples
这个
of afflictions
就是
and do
转变
whatever
啊，这
affliction
个是
says.
他的弟子是这些啊，弟子是。然后呢，就是
And then
讲到了这个他的三指是什
Talk
么呢？
about
就是道
who
品。
his
37
spiritual
道
friends
品的话
are.
呢，
His
就是他
spiritual
的这个
friends are
三
the
指，他有没有
37
三指
factors
呢
of？
有三
enlightenment.
指，但没有什么这个
Does he have
所谓的
spiritual
这
friends
个
or
什么
spiritual
他的上
teachers?
师啊、护法啊、看
His
多啊，没有这样
Lama,
的三
his
指。
guru,
那他的三指是呢
or
就是我们
his
这个
toku.
37道品的这些这个知识啊。
He doesn't have
就是
spiritual
那么
friends or
37道
good
品的话呢，
teachers like that. He
按
has
照这个37道品的
the
方式来修行的话，
spiritual
那最一定会是
teachers
到达这个佛国的。
who
啊，就
are
大
the
家都
37
知道。
factors
所以
of
呢，他的
enlightenment.
这个三
If
指
you
是呢
follow the
就是
37 factors of enlightenment, you'll be able to
37道品啊，这个
attain
37道
liberation,
品。
as we all know.
那么这样的话呢，就是这个是就是讲的是什么呢？就
So
是今天
this
讲的他的
stanza
弟子
talks
和三
about
指
his
是。
disciple
然后
and
他
his
的这个
spiritual
伴侣啊，
teacher.
就是一般一个家族来讲的话呢
And，within
他
a
有这些
family,
吧，就是
once
那
you
他的这个
have
伴侣是什么呢
the？
就是诸度发灯女。就是诸
In a
度是
family,
这个
other
六
than
度
these, you
章
also
当
have
中六度，翻译当中
companions.
也是这样的，六
So
度或者
the
说
six
是
paramitas,
这个诸度的话呢，
according
就是是波罗
the
蜜多
Xuanzang's
对吧？
version of
就是适度的
translation,
这
it
个
says
发
the
呢，这个
six
实际上它的
paramitas.
灯女
But over
灯女
here,
的话呢
it says
通版
dharmas of
也就是他
perfections.
的伴侣。
It could be the
你
six
有
or
没
the
有朋
10
友呢？
perfections.
我有
or
朋友，
10
是哪
paramitas.
些朋友呢？
Are
就
his
是用布
compassion,
施的
are
这
his
个什么这个
companions.
智慧波罗蜜多的，天天的跟我一起，就是这个是我的朋
So
友。
my
那你
companion,
有没有这
my
个这个
companion
什么这里的妓女
or
啊？这里的
my
妓女呢，不是那个
are
名字旁的这个
the
妓女，
six
也就是
paramitas.
说一些歌舞啊，就是原来一般的一些富贵家庭
Then
当
it
中
says that the
经
four
常
types
唱
of
歌歌舞，就是
attraction
就唱歌这个跳舞的这
are
种
his dancing
吸引
girls.
客人的，就是这种
So
叫
the
做妓
dancing
女啊
girls
那我们这
here
个
are
四
the ones
色
who
啊，
would
就是我们
play
大乘的这个四种色的
entertainment
话
and
呢，
who
实际
would
上是他的这个妓女
entertain the
啊，就是
guests by
那么
dancing and singing
就
and
这
so
个呢，
on,
就是因为
using
他这个
different
吸引就客人。
entertainment
那
skills.
这个色的话呢，就是他
The
也是
four
我们
types
色
of
素弟子的时候呢
attractions，
不是爱欲啊，就是通信
are
有这样来这个进
the
行这个吸
loving
引别
language
人
or loving
这个吸
speech,
引。
working
然后
together, giving
他有
and
这样的这种
beneficial
这个实
actions.
践的这样，还有呢，就是他有没有这个歌舞啊？就是一般没有歌舞啊，就是没有那
And
些
he also
这个伴侣啊，
has
就这样就很孤独
the
的。但是呢
singers
作为
who
一个修
sing
行
the
人，
words
这
of
些这
Dharma
些我
and
们
thereby
这个
create their
一些
music.
山里的一些修行人来讲呢，就是大
I
家
think
都
as
有。
practitioners
所以
over
呢
here
我
in
们
Larongar,
就以后呢，就是不要什么这个什么唱歌跳舞啊，就这些都
you
不用
don't
诵经
need
就可以
to
了，就是
sing and
就是
dance
对这
to
然后跳舞的这些也是不需要的，
to
就是什
be
么
in the same way
我
of
们今天都是要求那个学院里面有一些
of
现在什么
Vimalakirti,
那
but
个
you
连续
can
片的有一
chant
些这个碟子啊，有一
you
些
can chant
什么光盘的
mantras.
话，那就是全部在各个商店里面有的话，我们今天看了一下，可能有
There
一些商店还
are
是卖这
some
些，所以这
shops
些都
where
是
they
没有必要
sell
的，就是这个
CDs
诵
and
经的话，那
DVDs
就是都是
of
最好的唱歌啊，对
songs,
就是那
music,
个
and
歌韵
dances,
啊，
as
歌韵
well
的话，那
as
就是
TV shows.
诵经，
And
就是
we ask
那么
them
这
to
个呢
take
就
them
是作
down
为
the
最好的
shelves
这个音乐
because
啊，
that's
就
not
是作为最
necessary.
好的音
But
乐。
what I
所以
think
作为一些
people,
修行人的话
the
呢，真的实践
practitioners
当
you
中
should
的
do
什
over
么
here
唱歌也
is
好，跳舞
to
也好，实
chant
践的
mantras
这个
and
朋友
chant
就是
sutras
就没有
and
这些的话呢，这个好寂
practicing
寞啊，
in
好
such a
孤
way.
独啊，好伤
Don't
心啊，就是
see
连这
yourself
个
as
说话的
someone
对
who's
境都
really
是没
lonely,
有
who
的，
doesn't
就是
have any
所以啊，经
companions
常
and
就是放一
friends,
些这个世
and
界的各种
therefore
各
they
样的
would
一些
play
流行
lots
歌
of
啊，
the
就是什么
popular
各种
songs
这
and
个跳舞啊，就
they
这些
would
是作为一个
dance.
很好的修行人来讲呢，
Of
就
course, as
是
a
非常
really
这个
good
好的这种
high-level
声音呢，
realized
自己就是
practitioner,
听那个
you can
自己诵那个经典。如果自己实在不会的话，
you
那就
can
是以前的一
chant
些大的或者是有些
mantras and
特别就是
chant
声音好的一
and
些人，这个
recite
念诵的一个
sutras
经
and
典呢，就
shastras.
是这个也
If you
是
don't have a good
很重
voice,
要
if
的。
you're not good at
不知道我
rhythms,
以前见
then
过没
you
有那
can
个
listen
有
to
些那
the
个
previous
就是
masters
比较这
chanting.
个好的这个经典的话呢，就别人的诵经声音啊，就很好的话呢，那么
I
这
think
个
I
是
told the
对很多
stories
众生来讲是
before,
非常
this story
非常
before,
有意义。就是佛陀在那
as
个
the Buddha
一切有过的毗梨经当中
in
呢，
the
就是有一
Vinaya
个叫做
Sutra,
是
he told
什
a
么就是
story.
叫做是三合比丘。
There was
这
a
个三合比丘
bhikshu
呢，就是声
who
音特别
has
特别
really
的好，就是
wonderful,
他的这
beautiful
个这
voice,
种念经的声
and
音
his
的话呢，
chanting
好
and
像那个
recitation
梵天呐，就是天人的
could
经常来
shake
听，就
the
特别
Indra's
好听。
palace,
有一
and
次佛
even
陀
the
在
Indras
那
would
个
gather around and listen
这
to
个
his
什么，就
chanting.
是宗比丘当中呢，就是也告诉，就是说我们
And
现
then
在这
the
个
Buddha
很多比丘的
once
声音都是非常非常不错
said
的。
in
但
the
其中呢，就
gathering,
是三合
saying
比丘
that
的声音
I
的
think
话呢，
many
确
of
实
the
是就
disciples
是
have
非
very
常
good
非
voice
常好的，
to
就是他就是
chant and
应该是在诵
make
经当中是第
recitations.
一的，
But
就是
this
number one 最好
particular
的。
bhikshu is number one. He's
他
the
是
best
这个
in
他是什么呢？
chanting.
就是他这个诵经的时候呢，就是让这个
And during
很多
his
的这
chanting,
个废人啊，就包括动
he
物也好，包
attracts
括一些
lots
罗
of
刹也好，就是他们都是
non-human
这个吸引过，而且
yakshas as
他诵
well
经的这个
as
声音呢，就
animals
是
and all sentient
种
beings.
下了这个解脱的这个
By
种子。
simply hearing
佛
his
陀也是
voice
这
of
个
chanting
赞
and
叹，就是有
recitation,
这么一个比丘，就
the
是很多
the
很多一
sentient
些
beings
出家人的
whosoever
话呢，你
listens
听
to
到就是
him
他诵经的时候呢
are
好像树上的任何东西都是
received the
不
seeds
想
or
做的，就
planted
是
the
一直
seeds
想
of
听着，就
liberation.
就
And
就这
even
样的，
lots
就
of
一直这
the
个
bhikshus,
听待
they
了，就
would
这样的，
um,
就这样
drop
这样的
everything
那个
they
有一
do
次好像
and
有一
just
个
simply
国
by
王嘛，
listening
他
to
骑着这个
his
好像在
chanting. And
这
once
个
a king
早上的时候呢，有
in
事
the
情
early
就是外面要
morning,
骑着大象，就
he
是
had
办事
something
情
to
去的
do
时候呢，
and need
当时
to
那
ride
个
the elephant
比丘
and
呢，
go
就是那个
outside
三
the
合
city
比丘
and
呢，
go to
就是
somewhere
在
else. But at
住
that
在这个
time,
寺院当中呢，就是
this
他就
bhikshu,
发
who
出
was
了
a
特
very
别
good
特别
at
好听
chanting,
的这
he
个声
in
音
the
来
early
念这
morning
个
he
经
was
典。
chanting
念经典的时候
and
呢，就是
making
当
his
时那个
recitations
大
with
象
his
就是听
beautiful
到之
voice.
后的话呢，
And
就
at
是
that
已经
time,
这
the
个大象就
elephant
不
heard
肯走
it.
了，就是
The
然后
elephant
那个
wouldn't
驯
make a
象师
move
呢，就是拼命
anymore.
的，就是用
The
棍子来够它，
elephant
就是
tamer
用
was
鞭子打
trying
它，
to
就是
use
怎么样的话呢，就是
the
一直不走，就是然而
trying to
实在
use
没办法，后来
all
呢，这个
different
国王就
methods to
就是说是那这
get
个
the
大象就实
elephant
在不走的
going.
话呢，就不要
Otherwise, the
这个
king
惩罚他了，
couldn't
我还是这个放
go
放了他吧，
to
就是让他
his
就
place.
至于怎么样都可以了。
And
然
then
后
the
他就
king gave
从那个大象上
the
就下
king,
来了。
after the
下来
king
之后
heard
的
of
话呢，这
that,
个大象就
the
是跑
king
到
then
那
made
个
the order
附近
saying
的这个
that
寺院的
you
门
don't
口
have
去
to
这个
force the
听。
elephant
然后那个时候呢，
anymore.
这个
Just
三合
let
比
him
丘
go
一
and
直在
see
念经，
what's
他就
going on.
就一
And
直
then the
去听。
elephant right
最
away
后
run
呢，
to
就
the
是
place
就是
where
他
the
念完那个他的
the
回向，他的
bhikshu
回向文在那个佛经
was.
里面是有的，
And
就是那个是很好的，就是
after
他就对
heard
世界的这个和平呐，对人性
the
的这种
whole
烦恼的这个心理啊
recitation
等等，就是有一
and
些
heard
经
the
文就是那个。
aspiration of the
他那个
bhikshu,
念完了之后的话呢，就是
the
就
elephant
其实是
then
这种这个声音的话呢，
came
就是
back.
对很多的这种
His
苍生啊这
voice
些都
was
是得
so
利益的。然
beneficial
后
to
他
all
念完
kinds
以
of
后的话
sentient
呢，就是
beings.
大象就规规矩矩
The
就回来了，
elephant
就
came
回来了。
back,
回来了以后呢，
and
就国王很
the
好奇
king
地
was
问，
really
就是为
curious,
什么就是刚才
then
大象一点都不
asked
听话，那
why
现在的
the
话呢，
elephant
跟以前
doesn't
一模一样的，就是你这个驯服的
doesn't
也是很好的，
listen
照样是听话，为什么？
to
然后
your
那个
command.
这
But
个
after
就
he
是那
came
个
back,
渔人就是那
he
个
was
驾驭
also
这个大象
tamed
的这个
again. him what happened to the elephant, what distracted him. And then the elephant tamer told the king, saying that there was a bhikshu who was chanting with a beautiful voice, and the elephant really wanted to go and hear the sound and the voice of the bhikshu and what he was chanting. And the king was thoroughly impressed and saying that if the elephant if even an elephant was attracted by such a voice and chanting, I must go and pay respect.
所以呢，我们要 要大家就是应该要
So
听
I
那个
think
就是一些佛经啊，
we
就是
should
那么
all listen
应该
to
就是
the
对
recitations
这个自信的话，那就是应
and
该
a
有
good
不同
chanting
的这个方式的一种这个认识，这样
and
的话呢
use such way to recognize
有意义
and
的
to
这个维摩诘
see
居士的有一些表法，就是我们
the
可能生
nature
活
the
当中
Dharma
应该很有
the
很有
truth of
帮助
Dharma, and
我
I
希
think
望呢
that would
我们
really be
很多
very
人
helpful
就是对自己的
to
生活
yourself
模式呢
as well
有
as
时候
others.
稍微有一点变化的话呢，也重新这个思考就是其中的意义。好，今天
And you
讲
can
到这里
contemplate on that, and we will start today.